Hey guys, my name is Gerschwitz and welcome back to the channel. It's crazy to think about, but I've been making Corsair lighting profiles for 10 years now. In that time, I've created roughly 1,300 profiles through over 5,200 updates that have been downloaded more than 1.5 million times. It's been a wild ride, certainly with its fair share of ups and downs, but I love how creative it allows me to be, and I can't believe I still get to call this my job. To celebrate 10 years, every profile on my website has now been updated to iCUE version 5.18, and I want to rewind the clock to show you how all of this started. Jumping back to 2014, a friend of mine sent me this video from Linus Tech Tips, showing off a crazy new keyboard, the Corsair Vengeance K70 RGB, the world's first RGB backlit mechanical keyboard. The hype for this board was huge, and I ordered one as soon as I could. Diving into the software once it arrived, I wasn't really sure how to use it though, so I looked online and stumbled into the Corsair forums. Somebody from Corsair had made a short video about how profiles and modes worked, and that's all it took. Just 30 seconds into that video, it clicked. I understood how CUE worked, and I was hooked. I kept browsing the forums though and saw they were hosting a competition for lighting profiles. First prize was $500 store credit. Well, within a week, I had created 8 profiles and submitted them all. I wanted to stand out and show off my work though, so I filmed the profiles as best as I could and posted it to my YouTube channel. As far as I know, I was the first person to start showcasing individual profiles like this. I created videos for all my submissions: Knight Rider, Thunderstorm, FPS, MOBA, Rave, Firestorm, EMP, and Corrosive. The response was incredible. People were really enjoying the profiles, and I was loving making and sharing them. Due to rules around submissions, I placed second with the first profile I submitted and won a mousepad. But the prize didn't really matter anymore. I continued to make profiles and people kept watching, downloading, and using them. By the end of October, I'd made another 5, even breaking new ground with pixel art style profiles like Starman, 1UP, and Pac-Man. The K70 wasn't the only RGB keyboard Corsair had released though. My profiles weren't fully compatible with the larger K95, but users on the forums started expanding the compatibility of the profiles I made for other users. About a month after the competition ended, now in mid-November, Corsair reached out to me. They offered me double the competition prize to design 4 profiles based on influencers for a giveaway they were hosting. I couldn't say yes fast enough. By the end of November, I'd released another 3 profiles and an article had been written about me titled, "Why Corsair Should Hire This Guy." They contacted me and posted interview with keyboard light guru Gerschwitz only a week later. It didn't seem real. By December, my YouTube channel had already reached 500 subscribers and 150,000 views. It was exciting, and that excitement pushed me to do even more. In January, I added compatibility with Corsair's RGB mice, backdating support for everything I'd already made. I continued to release profiles, but sadly, Sonar was the last video my original Vengeance K70 was ever used for, as I accidentally spilt a pint of lemonade on it. I did clean it, but it was never quite the same again. Joking about this casually to my Corsair contact, he reacted by immediately shipping me a replacement. I was blown away. I hadn't even considered that the company was backing me now. It felt like what I was doing mattered. And this is the same keyboard he sent me all those years ago. I only stopped using it as a daily driver about a month ago. With permission, I released the influencer profiles as videos on the channel, and with the holiday giveaway a success, Corsair offered me a 3-month contract in March of 2015. I would help moderate the profile sharing site, a community hub Corsair ran that allowed anyone to post profiles they made, and I would create and film profiles for the social media team to use for events and replies. In addition to all this, I had just graduated university, I was working part-time as a maintenance hand, and I was trying to build towards freelance and graphic design. In July of 2015, my contract was renewed with Corsair, this time for 6 months. Filming only with either my phone or a GoPro up until this point, I upgraded my camera to this Nikon S9900 and tried to focus more on my editing. I'm especially proud of my Laser Raptor video from this era. I had no idea what I was doing going into that project and came out the other side a much stronger editor. The channel surpassed 3,000 subscribers with over 1 million views in August, and my compatibility update in October added support for the Void and the K95 that I had still been relying on the community for. I also opened a Patreon, and a few of you graciously began to support my work financially. By the end of 2015, I had released 53 profile videos, and Star Wars is still the biggest video on my channel today. My contract was renewed in January, and I continued to push the boundaries of what I was capable of. Not every video was a hit, but it didn't need to be. I loved being creative in both how I designed the profiles and how I presented them in the videos. This era of the channel really set the groundwork for the style of video I still do today. I had started to slow down though. I was taking more time with every profile and more care for the videos that showcased them. Wanting better quality footage, I upgraded my camera again to the Sony A7, which is still the camera I use for all my videos today. I also experimented with creating a basic tutorial for iCUE. It wasn't terribly popular, but it was useful to the people that needed it. In April, the channel hit 5,000 subscribers with 2 million views, and in July, my contract was renewed for 6 months again. During this period, iCUE moved to version 2. iCUE 2 brought big changes with it. Modes were removed, changing profiles from containers to a single entity that controlled everything. Profiles that used to have multiple modes were now required to be split into entirely separate profiles. An update to my entire library was required. I also released another tutorial, this one building upon the ideals I'd explored with the first one. January came, and Corsair renewed for 12 months this time. The growing contract validated all the work I was putting in. In April, I launched the Discord server. Initially a hub for my Patreon supporters, it quickly grew to hundreds and eventually thousands of people. For most of the year, I was working on either updates or my new Spectrum collection, which is still one of the profile sets I'm the proudest of and recommend to everyone. At the end of 2017, Corsair had pitched me the idea of game integrations, and we were in talks about full-time employment. We started work on Far Cry 5, and my contract was renewed for 3 months in the interim. In March, Corsair launched iCUE, the third version of the iCUE software that was now combined with Corsair Link, another software package that at the time was used to control internal components like fans and all-in-one coolers. This was a major shift and required an absolute ton of work to update all my profiles to be compatible. As the number of devices rose, so too did my workload. Each time a new product was released, it represented another update required to an ever-growing library of profiles. With the successful launch of Far Cry 5, on April 18th, 2018, I accepted a position at Corsair as Software Marketing Specialist. I finally had better stability, a salary, and somehow I'd turned my hobby into a profession. June of that year, I was flown out to the Corsair headquarters in Fremont, California to meet the rest of the team in person, and I'd never felt more welcomed. In August, I decided to close my Patreon. At the time, it didn't feel like I was releasing content frequently enough to be monetarily supported by my audience. I continued to work on profiles, but iCUE integrations and profile updates were starting to dominate my time. Only releasing a new Christmas profile and changing my Fortnite and World of Warcraft profiles in my end-of-year update. In February, more game integrations launched, and I was flown out to the Corsair headquarters for a marketing conference. Besides working on integrations, I designed part of and edited the Corsair April Fool's video, the Corsair Game Launcher, a style I'd not really had a chance to explore before, but am very proud of the outcome. I was flown out to the Corsair headquarters again in October, this time meeting a few partner developers and giving me the opportunity to work the Corsair booth at BlizzCon before coming home. In January of 2020, the channel reached 10,000 subscribers, and I was working flat out behind the scenes on all the game integrations we were doing. Originally, I was meant to fly back to the Corsair headquarters for another conference in March, but it was cancelled due to the pandemic. Unlike some that slowed or stopped working entirely during this period, my workload dramatically increased. We partnered with even more games, and more new devices were launching. I was a bit burnt out, and that's why there wasn't as much content posted to the channel during this time. I did make another tutorial though. My quick start guide for iCUE version 3 built yet again on the lessons I had learned and cemented the styles for videos like the one you're watching right now. In September, Corsair went public with an initial public offering on the Nasdaq. As a celebration, employees were featured on the gigantic screen in Times Square. And even though I never saw it in person, it's a pretty surreal achievement. In recent years, I've proudly expanded the iCUE integration library to over 40 titles from both the AAA and indie game space. My role with Corsair has evolved since I started too. As the now iCUE content manager, I additionally maintain the iCUE profile library and create profiles for Corsair itself to use, like the watercolor profiles that have been used on numerous product launches since 2019. I've also continued to release profiles for the community when I can. Cyberpunk is still one of my favorite videos on the channel. I think it perfectly represents what I want in a profile showcase, but it's certainly not alone. There's a lot of videos I'm very proud of over the past few years, and I still try to push the boundaries of what I'm capable of as both a profile and video creator. I loved having the opportunity to run a few live workshops for the official Corsair Discord, and I think I want to do more of this style of content in future, both in the form of an actual tutorial series and maybe some live streamed content too. In the decade I've been doing this, RGB lighting has transitioned from a gimmick and niche addition to becoming a main feature of almost every product released in the PC gaming market today. And I'm extremely proud of the minor role I've played in facilitating that change. To think, if I'd never watched that Linus video, or had never seen the competition on the forums, my life would have taken an entirely different path. Looking back through everything like this has been an incredibly reflective exercise for me. I almost forgot just how much I've created and all the challenges I've faced along the way. However, none of this would have been possible without you, my audience. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. The support, feedback, and immense passion you've shown towards my work has helped push me to create the best RGB profiles on the internet, at least in my opinion. I genuinely think I have one of the most positive communities on YouTube. In the 10 years of making videos, I've rarely had negative or hateful comments, but don't take that as a challenge. I'd like to especially thank the people around me for making this all possible. My beautiful partner Sam, my son Oliver, my parents, my friends, my brothers, my family. Thank you to those I've worked with closely at Corsair over the years, especially the team I worked on integrations with. Thank you also to the moderators of my Discord server. Your support through all these years has been tremendous. So, what's next? Well, I'm back to really enjoying making profiles again. There's some massive titles out now and on the horizon that I want to dive into. As you might have seen, I've started posting other creative ventures here on the channel as well. Don't worry, this isn't me transitioning away from profiles, merely something I enjoy doing on the side to push myself into new areas creatively. I'd like to ask you all a question. What profile led you to discovering me? Have you been here since Knight Rider dropped? Or have you only discovered my work recently? Let me know in the comments below. I would also love to get back above 10,000 subscribers again. So if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, like and share it with a friend. It really helps. My name is Gerschwitz, and here's to many more years of making RGB profiles. Thank you so much for watching.